Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting. Today, the myth of cheap Chinese AI comes crashing down, OpenAI wants to watch your screen 24/7, and a massive cultural backlash is brewing against AI in the gaming world. We are scanning the raw wire of today's market, tech, and cultural movements to separate the signal from the noise. If you're trying to figure out where this whole ecosystem is heading, you really need to see the actual board, not just, the isolated data points flying across your timeline.
And I mean, looking at the board today, the tech industry's consensus is just completely fracturing. The data we're seeing proves that the narratives you've been sold over the last 12 months are hitting a very hard, very expensive wall. The math just isn't mathing anymore.
Let's start right there with the hard economics, because this wall you're talking about, it's materializing in real time. Our lead story today comes from a massive viral post by @TrickCode. For months, the dominant narrative, the one basically everyone just accepted, was that Chinese models, specifically DeepSeek, were going to permanently undercut OpenAI and everyone else on price.
Right, the infinite race to the bottom.
Exactly. But starting tomorrow, August 16th, DeepSeek is hiking its V4 flash output pricing. It's rocketing from 28 cents to $1.32 per million tokens during peak hours. And V4 Pro, that's landing at $3.96. So is the era of practically free intelligence just over?
Oh, the price war narrative is officially dead. I mean, the industry assumed we were in this permanent, gravity-defying plunge for compute costs. But you simply can't defy the laws of physics or economics forever.
Wait, but DeepSeek is implementing peak and off-peak pricing, right? Like specifically citing the hours between 1 a.m. and 10 a.m. UTC as peak to manage surging demand.
Yeah, but the macro implication here is severe. Startups built their entire business models assuming token costs would just trend towards zero. Now their margins are evaporating overnight.
But I have to push back on you a little here. Isn't off-peak pricing just, smart load balancing? Like Uber surge pricing. When everyone wants a ride after a concert, the price goes up. Why is this a sign of an industry-wide structural failure rather than just basic supply and demand?
Because, well, Uber surge pricing happens during anomalous temporary events. This AI pricing shift is structural. If you look at the second-order effects, you have to ask who gets squeezed. This off-peak pricing model looks less like smart load balancing and more like a Band-Aid for an unsustainable compute deficit across the entire industry.
So they literally just don't have the hardware.
Exactly. The infrastructure simply cannot handle the baseline demand.
And what's wild is that the way you and I and everyone listening even measure these costs might be a complete illusion to begin with.
Oh, absolutely.
There's a post today from an OpenAI employee at the Socio that completely blows up how we think about pricing. He argues that pricing AI in dollars per million tokens is incredibly misleading.
The pizza analogy.
Yes, the brilliant analogy from Tebow about pizza. Basically, paying less per slice doesn't mean you're getting a cheaper pizza if the restaurant just took the exact same pie and cut it into way more slices.
Exactly. It's a marketing trick to confuse buyers. An OpenAI token does not equal an Anthropic token, which does not equal a DeepSeek token.
But why? What is actually happening under the hood that makes one model's token different from another?
It comes down to the model's tokenizer. It's the specific algorithm it uses to chop up human language into mathematical chunks it can understand. Different models just have different dictionaries.
Okay, so how different are we talking?
Well, let's look at the hard numbers at Socio shared. If you take the exact same block of text, GPT 5.6 Sol uses 766 tokens to process it. Claude Opus 5 uses an estimated 11,170 tokens for that identical text.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah. That is 34.5% more tokens to see the exact same thing.
Oh, wow. So comparing them by price per million tokens is like comparing two cars by miles per tank without telling you how big the gas tank actually is.
Precisely. When companies compare AI prices like they are standardized kilowatt hours of electricity, they are intentionally obscuring the underlying efficiency of their tokenizers. If you're a developer, your actual cost is the price per successful output, not the advertised rate per million slices of pizza.
Okay, so if cloud AI is getting vastly more expensive and the pricing metrics are essentially a shell game, developers need to look for an exit, which explains this massive hardware rebellion we are tracking today.
Yeah, the local compute push.
Right. We've got a post from @CallBettyC making waves. He points out that a consumer MacBook M5 Max with 128 gigs of RAM has practically the exact same local AI performance as a massive NVIDIA Spark server. I need you to explain this to me like I'm 5, because how does a laptop sitting on a desk beat a dedicated enterprise server rack?
It's all about bottlenecks. AI models don't actually need massive continuous processing power to run once they're already trained. What they need is the ability to move massive amounts of data back and forth instantly.
Okay.
Traditional PC architectures separate the processor and the memory, meaning the data has to travel across a bridge. If millions of cars try to cross a single-lane bridge, traffic stops.
Right, the data gets stuck waiting in line.
Exactly.
Hmm.
But Apple's unified memory puts the processor and the memory on the exact same chip. They removed the bridge entirely and built a massive superhighway.
So it's just instantly accessible.
Yeah, the M5 Max boasts 614 gigabytes per second of memory bandwidth, compared to the NVIDIA Spark's 273. Because of that highway and Apple's MLX framework, this laptop is turning out 25 to 32 tokens per second on massive 70 billion parameter models.
Yeah.
And it's doing it at 50 watts of power.
50 watts. I mean, if you are sitting in a coffee shop right now listening to this while coding an app on your M5 Mac, you suddenly hold a massive advantage over competitors paying for cloud compute. You're generating enterprise-grade AI totally offline.
Which raises an existential question for the market, right? NVIDIA's CUDA ecosystem has been the undisputed king, but if developers can run unthrottled, uncensored, locally hosted models on a laptop without paying cloud surge pricing, the entire hardware paradigm shifts.
Yeah, it really does.
Is the real AI moat actually in the cloud, or is Apple quietly stealing the entire developer class?
Well, if developers are fleeing the cloud because of insane pricing and moving to local laptops, it puts the big AI companies in a total panic. They need a way to lock you back into their ecosystems. And based on what we are seeing on the software side, their strategy is to become so deeply embedded in your daily life that you physically can't leave.
The always-on era.
Right, we are entering the always-on agent era. There's a post by @ChrisGPT summarizing Sam Altman's recent interview at Internapalooza. Altman predicts that within 6 months, a descendant of ChatGPT will be able to continuously watch your screen, listen to your meetings, and maintain the full context of your entire life and work.
And they're pitching this as the ultimate proactive CEO-level assistant. But the privacy implications are a complete nightmare.
You really think it's that bad?
We are fundamentally moving from a tool that you query, something you actively choose to engage with, to an entity that passively observes you 24/7. This isn't just indexing your files, it's monitoring your hesitation, your draft emails, your private conversations.
I have to push back on you there, though. I mean, if an AI can automatically draft an email to my boss while I'm on a Zoom call, or pull up the exact document someone is asking for before they even finish their sentence, why wouldn't I want that? Isn't the privacy trade-off worth the time saved? People give up their data to Google and Apple every single day just for the convenience of targeted ads and maps.
Giving Google your location data to find a coffee shop is vastly different from giving a neural network real-time visual access to your screen while you review your medical records or check your bank account. When you use Google, you are executing a transaction. When you use an always-on agent, you are accepting surveillance.
That is a chilling way to put it. And they are moving fast to make this a reality. We saw a post from OpenAI president at GDB revealing their multi-agent V2 systems.
The automatic routing.
Yes, the AI is now automatically routing tasks without you having to choose a model. If it needs speed, it routes to a subagent called Luna. If it needs complex coding, it seamlessly hands it off to GPT 5.6 Sol 1.
It's an impressive technical feat, but it introduces a massive layer of opacity. When the AI is routing its own tasks based on what it observes on your screen, you lose the steering wheel entirely.
So it's basically like hiring a general contractor for your house, and they just start bringing in random subcontractors and plumbers without asking you, and you just have to hope they know what they're doing.
Pretty much.
And OpenAI isn't alone in this. Look at that Noose research. They just announced bot mode for Hermes Desktop. You can create specialized AI bots that have independent memories, and they actually message each other to collaborate on workflows.
Yeah.
A developer bot can literally ping a QA bot to test its code inside a virtual office on your computer.
But here is where we see a very dark trend emerging in this agent ecosystem. Because these agents are communicating autonomously, we're witnessing the death of guardrails. Look at the post today from entrepreneur at Van Horn. He publicly stated he is dumping Hermes and OpenClaw entirely to use GrokBot. Why? Because he says Grok has a can-do attitude and bypasses the caution that other LLMs use to protect themselves.
Well, people don't want a lecture from their AI, right? They want results. If the AI won't write the code because of some arbitrary safety filter, developers just going to find a model that will.
But at what cost? We are seeing a race to the bottom, where the winning AI is just the one most willing to take the brakes off. When these agents have the ability to execute code on your local machine and message each other autonomously, removing the safety protocols isn't a feature, it's a massive liability.
And speaking of AI executing code, this goes way beyond just writing apps for humans. We have a post from @PrimeIntellect that shows AI is now building AI.
Oh, this is wild.
Right. They just ran the largest open experiment on how frontier models do AI research. They ran 153 autonomous runs across 18 models, letting the AI iterate on the nanoGPT optimizer. The result: the AI closed 82% of the gap to a record that took dozens of human engineers months to build.
This is the exact moment the tectonic plates shift. The AI isn't just writing front-end web code anymore. By optimizing nanoGPT, the AI is essentially redesigning the physical wiring of its own neural pathways. It is improving its own core architecture.
And the human toll of this acceleration is suddenly really palpable. Did you see that meme posted by @DataChaz yesterday? I saw the video of the guy training in the wheat field like his life depended on it, but I didn't actually read the chart they overlaid on top of it. Was it really that dense?
Oh, it was incredibly dense. It was Andrew Ng's new AI engineering skills map, which synthesizes the requirements from over 10,000 recent job postings. It hit a nerve. I think it had over 1 million views because of the sheer exhaustion developers are feeling. The baseline expectation for a human worker is now superhuman.
Which makes sense when you see the follow-up post from @Anatoly He shared Andrew Ng's 2-hour breakdown on building agentic knowledge graphs from scratch using Neo4j and Google ADK. The complexity here is mind-blowing.
It is. Ng is teaching developers how to move past simple chat loops into persistent graph structures.
Wait, let me make sure I understand this. So if a standard chatbot is like a patient with short-term memory loss who forgets who you are every time you leave the room, a knowledge graph is basically like an obsessive detective with a corkboard and red string, permanently mapping out every single entity, relationship, and fact you've ever mentioned so they can cross-reference it months later.
That is the perfect analogy. And the cynical observation here is that the bar to be an employed engineer just skyrocketed overnight. If you aren't building those detective corkboards, those self-improving agentic loops, those autonomous models from Prime Intellect are going to eat your lunch.
Which brings us to the human pushback, because when the digital world accelerates this violently and the stakes for your job get this high, you get a massive collision with physical reality and human nature. We are seeing a full-blown immune response today.
Yeah, the anti-slop movement.
Exactly. First, in code. There's a post from Cloudflare principal engineer Dylan Mulroy. He created an anti-slop skill that models can use to clean up code. Another user applied it to GPT 5.6, and it removed over 13,000 lines of bloated AI code while adding only 500. He literally called it his greatest contribution to society. But why does the AI write bloated code to begin with?
Because of the token economics we discussed earlier, AI models are structurally incentivized to generate tokens. They don't naturally optimize for elegance or brevity. They optimize for probable outputs, which often means verbose, boilerplate-heavy code. Slop has really become the defining pejorative of this era. It's the bloated, frictionless, zero-calorie output of AI.
And consumers are actively rejecting it. Look at the data shared by Eddie Malik regarding the video game industry. He pointed out the intense policing of any AI use among small indie game developers.
Right.
Even though indie devs are the most resource-constrained creators on Earth, if they disclose using AI for their textures or code, they suffer 40 to 60% fewer sales and get completely review-bombed by gamers.
The gamers simply reject it because art and entertainment are fundamentally supposed to be proof of human effort. The economic incentive for the company is to automate, but the cultural incentive from the consumer is completely inverted.
So to survive, companies are realizing they just have to hide their AI use entirely. We have a post from @TrickU212 about Anthropic doing exactly this. He shared an interactive artifact showing how Claude uses invisible text watermarking to comply with the EU AI Act. But how does a text watermark even work invisibly?
It uses something called high-entropy token swapping. Entropy essentially means unpredictability.
Yeah.
So if the AI is generating a sentence and the most mathematically logical next word is, say, apple, but the second most logical word is fruit, the watermark algorithm forces the AI to pick fruit in a very specific cryptographically patterned sequence.
Oh, wow. So it just looks normal to us.
All right, the generation looks identical and natural to the human reader. There's no quality loss. But a computer can read that sequence of second-choice words and instantly recognize the machine's fingerprint. They are hiding the AI from the user because visible AI is being actively rejected.
But here is the ultimate contrast on our board today. While indie devs are fighting over whether an AI drew a tree texture, the tech elites are pitching these godlike utopian visions.
Oh, the Vercel and Anthropic stuff.
Yeah. We have Vercel, CEO at Rock, saying he wants to use AI to fund the next Disney, focusing on American optimism and merit. And then you have Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei, highlighted in a post by @Polymarket, predicting that AI could make it possible to cure most human diseases in the next 5 to 10 years by compressing decades of biological research. Curing diseases, building the next Disney, it sounds like we are entering a golden age.
It does sound incredible, but we have to forcefully ground this conversation in physical reality. We have digital models that might simulate the cure for hepatitis C, but in the physical world, we literally cannot build houses.
What do you mean?
Look at the viral post today from @Creamieriku. He brings up a stark reminder about zoning laws, specifically the 1926 Supreme Court case Euclid v. Ambler. Under that ruling, local zoning laws were upheld, which means today, your neighbors can effectively get together and vote that the land you own must permanently remain an open lawn. They can impose an easement that prevents you from building a duplex without your consent.
Wait, let me get this straight. I could have an AI that acts like a Fortune 500 CEO running autonomously on my laptop, but I can't build a shed in my own backyard because a local zoning board from 1926 said no.
Exactly. The digital world has zero friction, but the physical world is paralyzed by century-old bureaucracy. We can simulate billions of chemical interactions to cure disease, but you can't pour concrete for a new laboratory without a decade of environmental reviews, local government vetoes, and neighborhood complaints.
That contrast is just staggering, and I think it perfectly frames our final data point from The Wire today. While we are fighting over local lawns and local permits on Earth, at SpaceX just launched the Global Star 2R mission. A Falcon 9 put 9 second-generation satellites into low Earth orbit to provide mobile data and voice services to the absolute remotest parts of the globe. It really makes you ask, are we innovating so aggressively in the cloud and in space purely because the physical ground on Earth is just too heavily regulated to deal with?
It's the path of least resistance. You can launch a rocket into low Earth orbit or train a massive neural network faster than you can get a permit to build a mid-rise apartment building in San Francisco. The physical world is calcified, so all human ingenuity is fleeing upward into the servers and into orbit.
Okay, let's pull all this together for you. What we are watching today is a massive simultaneous collision. On one hand, an incredible explosion of AI capabilities. We have agents prepping to watch your screens 24/7, models redesigning their own neural architecture, and laptops matching the power of server farms.
But on the other hand,
We are slamming into severe physical, economic, and cultural limits. Cloud compute is getting hit with surge pricing because we lack the infrastructure. Gamers are boycotting AI-generated art because they crave human effort, and century-old zoning laws are keeping us grounded. It is a massive tug-of-war between digital infinity and physical reality.
based on everything we've synthesized today, I actually have a very specific prediction for tomorrow. We're going to see a major tech firm announce a new local-only privacy feature for their AI. They know the backlash against these always-on screen-watching models is coming, so they will effectively try to sell you back the exact privacy they just promised to invade.
What?
They'll package it as a premium security tier, shifting the compute back to your M5 Max laptop, allowing them to avoid the massive cloud compute costs and the legal liability of watching you.
A premium subscription for them to just look away. That is a brilliantly cynical take, and honestly, probably entirely accurate. Thank you for tuning in to today's deep dive on the daily vibecasting. Keep your eyes on the board.
Thanks for listening.
Before you go, consider this. If these agentic models truly do compress decades of medical research, and they somehow manage to navigate and solve our broken zoning laws, they effectively eliminate all friction from our world. But humans evolved over millions of years specifically to solve problems and overcome friction. If AI takes away the friction of living, what happens to our inherent drive for purpose? Think about it. We'll see you tomorrow.